Threading the Econocraft pressure-sensitive roll applicator can be somewhat tricky. Following is a depiction of what we feel are the least annoying techniques for loading, threading, and running various applications. First, get a roll of the PSA film with which you wish to work. Slide it onto the supply roll mandrel as shown here. With heavier rolls of film, we recommend that 2 people perform this operation. Return the supply roll mandrel end to its notch fitting in the supply roll mounting bracket. Make sure both ends are seated properly. Center the roll and make sure the adhesive side of the film is facing upward. To make the threading experience more tolerable, always use a piece of scrap paper, release paper, or thin cardboard as a leader board to help guide the film through the nip and cleanly out the back of the machine. This leader board works best if it is at least as wide as the PSA film. Open the laminating rolls and insert the leader board through them, leaving 6 to 8 inches of it exposed in front of the rolls. Then close the rolls. Lift the safety shield up and pull the leader up between the top back edge of the safety shield and the top rubber roll, leaving 2 to 3 inches above the shield to adhere to the web of the incoming PSA film. Then close the safety shield. Pull down a length of film off the roll. You may have to loosen the supply roll tension to let the film unwind easier. If the PSA film you are using has a release liner, route the film under the top idler bar as shown here. If you have not done so already, place a piece of scrap 3-inch diameter cardboard core on the release liner shaft and core chuck assembly as shown here. Separate the liner from the adhesive-laden film and pull the leading edge of the liner up enough to tape it to the front surface of the take-up core, as demonstrated here. Use the idler bar as the separation fulcrum point for the liner and the film. Now you can adhere the leading edge of the adhesive film to the exposed end of the leader board. Try to have the respective edges fairly square to each other to help eliminate heinous wrinkling as the leader and web combination is drawn through the machine. With the safety shield in its proper position, lock the feed tray in place. Reconnect power to the machine if you have not already done so. Turn the speed control to the 0 position. Place the forward reverse switch in forward. Place the foot pedal mode selector switch in the upper drive switch position and turn on the drive switch. Slowly increase the speed and keep a watchful eye on the leader sheet and the leading edge of the film as it is drawn into the rubber rolls. Make sure the release paper is in place under the exposed adhesive or make ready the sheets of scrap paper to be placed there. As the film passes through the rolls, adjust the supply roll tension and the release liner take-up tension as needed. If the web of film has excessive wrinkling as it passes over the rubber roll, increase the supply roll tension. Turn the tension knobs clockwise to increase tension. To draw the web tight and wrinkle-free, a small amount of tension is needed for most jobs. Too little tension and too much tension can both cause wrinkling. The right amount of tension is the least amount that will do the job. While all this is going on, the release liner take-up needs to be adjusted to ensure smooth and accurate separation of the release liner from the film at the idler roll. Not enough tension and the release liner will follow the film into the nip. The proper amount of tension is just enough to keep the release liner and film separating right at the idler bar. Once the web of film is running wrinkle-free, you can now begin laminating your pieces. Remember, any exposed adhesive from the film will stick to the rolls and potentially cause a wraparound. Overlap your work or run release or scrap paper between sheets to prevent wraparounds. When using a film or pre-mask that does not have a release liner, thread the film from the supply roll over the idler roller and over the rubber roller into the nip. Always make sure the adhesive side of the film is facing out, away from the surface of the top roll. Use the same threading, leaderboard, and tensioning techniques as shown earlier to ensure a smooth, wrinkle-free web with which to work. Application of transfer-taped pre-masked signage to a substrate. The Econocraft 30, 50, and 60 will accept rigid substrates up to 1 inch thick. This allows the versatility needed to accomplish various mounting applications where use of a thicker substrate is required, such as applying vinyl to sign blanks. The roller gap must be adjusted to the thickness of the substrate with which you are working. Use the procedure shown earlier. The vinyl signage should be placed on the substrate signboard, released liner side down, and aligned the way it is to appear on the substrate. Create a hinge by taping the leading edge of your transfer tape signage to the substrate. Peel back 2 inches of your release liner and slide the positioned end of the board into the laminator. Holding the taped graphics up with one hand, using your free hand, gently pull away the release liner as the machine pulls the substrate through. With the vinyl adhesive exposed, it is imperative that the operator keep the vinyl suspended above the substrate until the point of application at the nip rollers. If the graphic were to touch before being laminated, there is a greater risk of trapping air bubbles or wrinkles. Slowly start the machine and pull the release liner off as it pulls the substrate through. Remove the liner slowly, holding up the taped signage with one hand and pulling away the release liner with the other. Holding the signage straight up at a 90-degree angle to the feed tray from the point where it curls under the safety shield, the release liner can easily be separated from the signage at this point. The safety shield serves as a kind of guide for removing the release liner in this application. Holding the signage straight up against the bottom of the safety shield as the machine pulls the material into the rollers also keeps the vinyl adhesive off the substrate until it reaches the rollers, ensuring a bubble-free application. Cold mounting. The Econocraft can be used to apply adhesive to mounting boards such as foam core. Substrates can also be purchased pre-coated with pressure-sensitive adhesive and a release liner. Some cold adhesives adhere better and are more reliable than dry mount hot adhesives when it comes to various plastics, coated papers, and coated mounting boards often used in digital imaging. Most rolls of adhesive have a single release liner. When threading the laminator, the release liner should be against the top rubber roll. When laminating one side, you must not allow exposed adhesive to go into the machine. Make sure the material being coated is at least as wide as the roll of film. Overlap the pieces or use scrap paper underneath them in order to prevent the adhesive from coming in contact with the rollers. Adjust the roller gap for the thickness of the board you are going to use if the board is more than 1/8 of an inch thick. Thread the machine using the leaderboard technique as shown earlier. Adjust the unwind tension to remove any wrinkles from the material. Do not use excessive tension as it may stretch or distort the material. Begin to feed the mounting boards, butting each up against the one ahead. Cut the boards apart with a utility knife at the back end. Once your boards are coated, or if you buy them pre-coated, you are ready to mount any graphic. There are many methods for sizing and trimming, but most operators use boards that are slightly bigger than the graphics, then trim the board and graphic together after mounting. To mount graphics to these coated boards is simple. Peel back about 2 inches of release liner on one end of the board. Create a hinge by using this exposed adhesive to position the graphic on the board. Slide the positioned end of the board into the laminator, holding the graphic up with one hand. Gently pull back and away the release liner before it gets into the nip. The machine will apply the even pressure needed to securely bond the graphic to the board smoothly and wrinkle-free. The board and graphic can now be trimmed to the desired finished size.